Hola. CNN Live. Texas, Florida governors ramp up attacks on vaccine mandates.
Governor Abbott's executive order banning mandates.
That's hilarious. The federal government has been attacking people for weeks and weeks and weeks because they fucked up the COVID-19 response. They've been bullying people, pestering people, getting under people's skin, sounding like a broken record, harassing people, day in, day out, with all the politicians falling in line, all the rich Democrats on the news falling in line. And now, all of a sudden, Texas governor and Florida governor step up and say, nah, businesses can't bow down to the federal government and have vaccine mandates. And they're freaking out. I think one element of what we're seeing here is there's several things going on, but one of them is these old rich people think like everybody should listen to them. I know some people like that, and they get really pissed off if you don't take their advice, you know. So not only do they feel like they're doing the right thing, they know what's best, but they also feel like the unvaccinated, they're defying them and defying their wisdom and are worthy of their wrath. DeSantis floats law against vaccine-related firings.
That the mandates themselves, well-meaning though they may be, may be causing this backlash and this serious full-on revolt.
I don't really think there needs to be a conversation about this shit. I don't think one more word should be said about it. I think this is all on TV because these people want to make money. None of these people care about human health. If these people cared about human health, they would be eating an organic banana on TV. They'd be showing pictures of their solar-powered house. They'd be bragging about their electric car and their zero carbon footprint. They wouldn't be doused in chemicals, jealous, trying to make you jealous. Pretty hilarious. People that demonstrably don't give a fuck suddenly are acting like they passionately love and adore these people that believe opposite political things and they just want their health and safety. God bless America.
In the last months of 2019, samples from the blood bank absolutely will contain vital clues.
They could potentially be very revelatory.
Wow, this guy's creepy. They underestimate the creepiness of these people. They keep putting up on a loop in front of us day in and day out. These people belong in like a stab movie.
In October or November 2 years ago. China says they had to be kept for legal reasons for 2 years in case of lawsuits over the blood.
The other day I was tripping on how there's never any young people preaching vaccines. They're all old people. And I was asking why, and then I realized old people lie a lot better.
Echoing a promise from July when they said they would share the results. Regular substitutions from the Chinese side, he says, also express that once they have the results,
they're still talking about COVID's origins. Look how they like
Chinese and foreign expert teams.
to string people along.
Results come from a disposable tube that carries
If it bleeds, it leads. This is literally talking about blood samples in China. Blood samples in China could be clue to COVID's origins. I guess I'm a literalist.
The trajectory of the rate of the virus by tracking individuals who may carry it.
Follow them around, see what they eat.
This virus started to leave fingerprints
Jesus.
in the human population in China.
It is common practice to de-identify the sample. So you could strip it down to basic demographics,
damn.
age, gender, neighborhood where they live. All of those data will be available.
The same problem emerges again. It will be China and China alone.
Pretentious.
Doing the testing and reporting their results. The US's recent report into the origin of the coronavirus and statements from allies.
At this point, who really cares now? Who cares? Maybe it came from Mars, dude. Does it really matter where it came from? We know that these caves in China have bats with tons of coronaviruses in them. So what more matters than that?
Ideally, you want to
I haven't heard them eradicating the bats.
the WHO or the foreign experts.
I'm not completely certain that China has not done this testing and has not shared the results.
What we always say is trust but verify.
So what, you know?
But the Chinese scientists
China's probably going, yeah, you might be onto us, but look at all these other people that you have no idea what they're doing. And they're doing a lot worse.
But instead, this vital remaining
Or the US does have an idea and they just keep it from the public.
incriminations and uncertainty again.
You gotta imagine any experiment China is doing, the US has done and Israel probably has done. And they haven't said a word about it. You know, do you really want to believe that China is the cutting-edge scientific country on the planet, and they did experiments and research that nobody else has ever done?
Of their report in February stated,
doubt
sorry,
it.
March, stated very clearly that these samples were of interest to them. And as far as I understand, they haven't stopped.
I heard that the Chinese have theories that the COVID-19 originated in the United States.
Follow-up committee of WHO to look at possible further strands of this investigation. But there is a larger question that's touched on by
You know, only about 4,600 people have died in China, and over 700,000 people have died in the US.
A huge curiosity and appetite for more information about any virus, frankly, let alone the pandemic virus, which has changed so much of our daily lives. So the question really is, did they really permit legal sensitivities over possible lawsuits over blood transfusions to stop them from looking at these samples over the past 2 years? That's a question, the answer of which we may never know. We might get to know what they want to tell the world about the tests they say they're doing imminently in the months ahead. And as you heard there, that could be...
They don't know anybody any answers. They don't have to say a word about it.
Could suggest clusters possibly of the first antibodies that got into humans, maybe a time, maybe a place. That could be revealing. That could also help clear up this, I hate to say it, mess about whether this was a lab leak, of which there is minimal public evidence that's convincing at the moment, or the broader scientifically backed theory is crossed naturally somehow, or possibly backed through an intermediary animal into humans at some other time.
Yeah, but how about the variants? You know, the variants could be like totally new diseases. You know, they've got an Indian variant right now called Delta variant. How exactly did that variant come into being? Yeah, I know the theory and how it would work. If it was in that population long enough, it would evolve, passed around from people to people. Basically just to stay alive, it would evolve and change a bit. But that's a layperson's explanation. How about some more specifics?
Now, more Americans are quitting their jobs than ever before, and analysts say it's all about extra leverage workers are enjoyed because of the pandemic. A record 4.3 million people left their jobs in August. That's according to the Labour Department. That's just shy of 3% of the workers.
Record 4.3 million U.S. workers quit their jobs in August. 2.9% of the workforce quit in August. Highest quit rate since turnover report began in late 2000. They've got stats about people quitting their job, but they didn't bother to ask them why they're quitting their job or what they're up to now.
The IMF now expects the global economy to grow 5.9% this year. That's slightly lower than its July forecast. The 2022 outlook remains unchanged. The IMF slashed its growth forecast for the US by 4 percentage points to 6%. That's the highest reduction for any G7 economy.
They could be quitting their job because they're making them get a vaccine and they don't want one. We have no idea if any of these numbers are right.
All three main indices really bounced between modest gains and losses before dropping for a third straight session at a pretty
And frankly, I don't trust any vaccine I've ever had. I emailed my dad tonight and I said, which vaccines did I get when I was a kid? Which ones did I have? And he sent me a message with like a list of them. I said, oh my God. So it's probably at least like half a dozen of them.
Supply chains are the problem, and rising labour costs are really bringing them to show. And this is how futures look when trading begins in just a few hours. Really mixed day Dow futures, pretty flat. We'll keep an eye on those next few.
Yeah, I was saying the other day that like
The Wyoming coroner.
oh, I have a crystal meth story. Hang on. This is Gabby Petito's cause of death.
The mystery surrounding her death has gripped the country for weeks now. CNN's Lena Santiago on the story.
Death by strangulation. The manner is homicide.
The Teton County coroner releasing the autopsy results of 22-year-old Gabby Petito. The coroner initially determined that
Leila Santiago.
was a homicide. The cause of
I didn't give her
death
credit
has
for
not been announced. Dr. Blue
her
said
voice right
he
now.
was limited in what he disclosed from his report.
We committed a homicide is the way that we were trained by law.
That's horrible. It's that young girl got strangled to death. Or so they say. And I still can't blame I still can't convict Brian Landry. Because for all I know, he took off and some other idiot choked her to death. Because he sure did take off. How do we know? You know, they loved each other and lived together and were engaged to be married.
She was first reported missing by her parents on September 11th, more than a month ago. Petito spent the summer traveling across the country in a van with
Seems more likely that they got into a fight and he left, like a big serious fight or whatever, and he took off. And then somebody else saw her all alone and did something horrible to her. I was thinking maybe he pushed her off a cliff or somebody pushed her off a cliff or something. I couldn't imagine this guy. Can't imagine strangling another human being to death. You're saying today that would take probably like 5 minutes to do.
Weeks later, when he returned to the Florida home they shared with his parents, Petito wasn't there.
I think they probably,
He said, now, one
I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but they probably should have taken both of them to jail. They both, he drew blood and she kept saying she hit him. So, I don't know. They had to probably arrest both of them or neither of them. Now, nearly a month later, investigators still don't know where Michael is. And the Teton County coroner was open to the fact that he's limited in what he can say because of the investigation. He wouldn't answer questions about if the body had been moved or if the body had been buried. In fact, when he was asked if an item was used in strangulation, he wouldn't answer that either. CNN obtained a public record that was signed by the coroner that indicated it was a manual strangulation strategy. That is what is listed as the cause. New details That's messed up.
out after the coroner spoke to press. Lena Santiago, CNN, Newport, Florida.
Now, let me give you an update on the story we were leading the show yesterday, if you were joining us yesterday. NFL Watcher said the scandal that led to John Gruden's resignation may expose others in a league whose culture must change. If you remember the last week's Raiders head coach
This is a private email, for Christ's sake. Making a big deal out of this.
The Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers says the whole truth will eventually come out. Take a listen.
All parties involved, and hopefully we can all as a league learn and grow from this, and hopefully it puts of those things.
That's bullshit. They should have his back.
It's time to grow and evolve and change and connect. And that doesn't work.
Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have removed Roden from their reign of honor and put their company spectre.
And I don't know if I would make those jokes necessarily. Not all of them. But some people would. They're called jokes. People want to fire people for emailing jokes that some people think are inappropriate. That's the kind of world we live in. That your coworkers can turn on you for having inappropriate jokes that you email somebody that get somehow brought out of the dark and into the public's eye. It's pretty messed up. What's it going to turn society into? A bunch of zombies? A bunch of liars? A bunch of people that get away with stuff for a little while and then get busted? I don't know. It's like, because he's a football coach, they can't give him any leeway for making bad jokes. If he's a comedian, they would have said, oh, no problem. These are just bad jokes. That's what you do. He had Aaron Rodgers talking shit about him. It's kind of funny because they're totally different generations. I would imagine he's at least a decade or two older than Aaron Rodgers. I'd be more interested to hear people in his age group comment. And his peers, you know. I don't know, it's just one of those things. I think sometimes people think that their heroes should be perfect in all aspects of life, and they're not. People are flawed, and maybe it's disappointing, but it's reality. The guy was a great football coach. He wasn't a great comedian. He wasn't a great, linguist. It's not Shakespeare. It's kind of like sometimes people expect things from people that you have no business expecting them from. But I said, what about... I said, yeah, you should fire him. I can't believe he didn't talk to his buddies like he's from the Girl Scouts of America. And so, yeah, they should probably go hire Mary Poppins now. This is my worst possible angle. Got any bugs? This is a wild world we live in. It's funny, I don't know, have you ever heard the saying, like, when you point the finger at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you? Everybody that makes these judgments and these accusations, it does it from a sense of pride, and they act like, they haven't done other things wrong or anything wrong, and they have the right to, lay down the law. No grace, no understanding, no patience, just judgment. The guy said sorry. He said sorry a couple times. And so I guess this one, and he resigned, so. Said he didn't want to be a distraction. John Gruden. So that's pretty respectable, I guess. I didn't read the story about how the emails all came about. I just saw it on the TV, so of course I didn't get the whole story. But I think it had something to do with a court case in New York, and it came out. but I don't know if he was hacked or if they were just part of the case or how exactly they were exposed and why. It's weird seeing the government and the liberals argue and cry and whine about Facebook. They did this before a couple of years ago. I think they really want Facebook to be under their thumb, and they want to be able to monitor them and control them like they do Twitter. I don't think they can, and I think that's why they freak out about it. Goes up. You don't give a fuck. Goes up. Yeah, that's right. You're a bad parent if your child gets on Instagram or Facebook and comes down with some kind of disorder. You're a bad parent. It's your fault. Man, Shatner looks terrible. He might not make it. You know, when years ago, I had something called a TV Guardian, and it filtered profanity out of anything I watched on TV. And so, you know, you got to protect your mind, protect your loved ones. If you don't, it's on you. I don't read a lot of things, and I don't watch a lot of things because I don't want them in my head. You can't let the internet parent your kids and then get upset when a website makes them sad and gives them problems. It's really easy to tell the kid they can't go to the website. I can't believe I have to say that. If your kid goes to a website that harms them emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever, talk to them and tell them they probably shouldn't go to that website. The government can't parent your kids. You can't make businesses cave into pressure because you can't parent.
We delivered a historic agreement that no G7 nation will finance any more coal projects internationally. South Korea has made the same thing. And with China's recent announcement, we are well on the way to triple financing for new coal power, receiving ramp-up support for renewables. But we still need G20 to tackle domestic...
It's kind of funny how the liberal mainstream media will attack things like that, and then Fox News will, like, just briefly, and then if it's not, like, in their purview, and if it doesn't serve their interest, they'll just get off of it real fast and get on to something else. But the liberals won't. They'll just keep dragging it through the mud, ad nauseum, pounding their fists, getting their buddies to complain. Just weaving stories and just talking shit.
This, as you can see there in the screen, is the Tower of London. And this is what researchers say it would look like underwater in the future. Similar scene in San Francisco, California. You're seeing that where you can see buildings as well as high-rises really immersed in water. Very, very
Study depicts the impact of rising sea levels, and it shows San Francisco after 3 degrees of warming, and like the whole place is underwater.
Impacting the Great Plains. We joined us Tyler Morgan, who's been out in CNN Weather Centre. Good morning, Tyler. You and I were talking about severe weather storms. I think it was yesterday, before yesterday. Are these the same or are these additional ones?
So we were talking about it yesterday and then the day before. It's like we're in the movie Groundhog Day, because every time I see you, there's ongoing severe weather across the plains. So right now, we do have severe weather across the plains. These thunderstorms are up there across Oklahoma, Kansas, stretching on into Nebraska. Still on the backside, we have the winter storm dropping a lot of snowfall across the northern Rockies. On the one side,
4 tornado, 30 severe wind, 8 large hail.
led to 4 tornado reports and 30 severe wind reports. Of those wind reports, some of the winds have been above 75 miles per hour. That's above hurricane force conditions. That storm threat is now moving up to the north. It's impacting the northern plains, a portion of the Midwest, and the Great Lakes. Later on today, we'll continue with that mountain snow though.
I affirm the negative effects of carbon emissions, but I also wonder if some of these weather events are deliberately man-made.
You're going to get some winter mischief. Again, we're going to continue to see that across.
People are saying they're a byproduct of the pollution and the warming, so like an accidental kind of thing. So I wonder if any of them can actually be controlled by people.
Is that the snowfall totals out there across the Intermountain West have just been crazy for October. Both in Montana has picked up 21 inches of snow within the last 24 hours. We're going to add to that in the days to come.
You know, they show these pictures of the alleged UFOs that they don't know what they are, and they laugh about it. They paid giant sums of money to protect the homeland here, and they don't even know what the hell these things are. And for all we know, they could be affecting weather.
Now, a wildfire near Santa Barbara, California has exploded in size. In a matter of days, the Alpha fire has grown to more than 30,000 acres, that's 5,000 hectares. Evacuation orders have been expanded in parts, and major highways have been closed as strong winds push the flames. More than 760 firefighters are back in the blaze, which is only 5% respect. Just ahead right here on the show, Joe Biden sees the domestic agenda stall amid Democratic divisions. What the White House speaker is saying now about plans to tear down a key social policy bill. Plus, he had all the reasons for that union in particular.
Winning over the vaccine skeptics. See, listen to this nonsense. Wow. How sad and pathetic is it that they can't champion American choice and freedom? Oh, fuck you guys. I want to see fucking people getting jabbed with a needle, you sorry assholes. God damn. Make me watch that shit just to find out what's on the news. What a bunch of fuckers. God damn it. These people are truly lost. It's like they're in an echo chamber. They get away with just exaggerating and bullying and being assholes all day and all night. Oh yeah, so my crystal meth story. You know, I've never done needle drugs in all my life. I've just been against the meth like everybody else would be. And but one time, probably 25 years ago or so, I was at the beach with a few friends, and one of them pressured me to do crystal meth with him. And it was so weird because I'd never seen him like that before. And he's a church friend of mine. And he was there with his wife, or she might have been his girlfriend at the time. But he was just tripping hard. He's like, just come on, dude, just try it. Come on, you like it, just try it, try it, try it. I just thought yesterday that maybe he was out of money or something and wanted me to buy some for us both. Or maybe he was just so addicted that he just couldn't stop and wanted me to do it with him. I don't know. My only other real experience with that drug is when I was like 16 years old and I was in Coronado with my friend's VW van. We met some people and they wanted to do crystal meth and they didn't want anybody watching them. So they wanted us to get out of the van so they can get in the van and slam needles. And that's what happened. It's pretty weird. So, I think also somebody in a Honolulu bathroom at the Vons used to slam needles too. I used to see them on the ground in there. Or it was Ralph's up on Baratania. Yeah, that was creepy. The security guards would come in there pretty quick just to see what the hell was going on. Or sometimes they wouldn't want to know and they would stay out of there for a long time. I was like, ugh. I use the bathroom just like a normal person. I think your body is your body. You can do whatever you want with it, including any drug you feel like doing. But, I think that all plants should be illegal, and I think that would solve the problem of processed drugs harming people. Whenever you process something, it usually screws it up. Processed meats are bad for you. Processed drugs are bad for you.
Welcome to CNN News, everyone. I'm Mrs. Suarez. If you're just joining us, let me bring you up to date with our top stories this hour. Officials have declared Gabby Petito's death a homicide by strangulation. Authorities are still searching.
Alright, I'm gonna kill this because they're starting to repeat the same stuff. Take care of yourself.